Hey everyone, it's Spencer. Hope you are well. Hope that your vibes are high. This is my first crystal video in a very, very long time. I decided that I needed to get back into the swing of it. And I've done a lot of thinking over the last week or so since I decided to get back into the swing of it on what crystal I would start with. And I thought, what are some of my favorites? Well, I've already done videos on most of my favorites and the ones that I collect in bulk. But I thought that I would do one that's maybe a higher vibration than the other stones that I've done so far. A lot of the stones that I've done so far on my channel have been, that's my cat, sorry. The stones that I have done so far on my channel, rose quartz, spirit quartz, um, selenite, the stones that I did for grieving. A lot of those are stones that are not what we would consider to be supercharged high vibration stones. They're stones that work with you in a gentle way. They have a very healing quality to them that can almost go unnoticed. So I wanted to talk about a stone that was going to be a little shaky and vibey and fun and buzzy. So when I think of buzzy stones, stones that are electric, the first one that comes to mind is Danburite, one of my absolute favorites, which I do say that about a lot of stones, but Danburite is probably in my top three. So I'm wearing a Danburite crystal here that a friend of mine named Laura wrapped for me many years ago. And then I also have a couple pieces here that I wanted to show. So this is like a bigger piece that it's very clear and high quality up top, and then the back and the bottom has a lot of inclusions and darker spots. But it's pure white Danburite, and it has a really flawless termination on this side and this side of the very top. And the edge that it comes to is as sharp as a knife almost, which is so fascinating how crystals can naturally form with such intense mathematical structure like that. So that's a piece that I have, and then I have a larger piece that I love and cherish. This piece, which way do I always say is upright? This way. This piece is one of my favorites in my collection. You don't find Danburite very large normally, and if you do, it's in clusters. This is a solid terminated piece of Danburite, and it also has that knife edge here that's super thin. And the terminations at the top here and the terminations down on the bottom that you can see that are broken off from the mining but are still visible are beautiful. So Danburite is opaque sometimes, like in this one. This is a lower quality one because it's so large. They're going to be very opaque and not super see-through. But then there are Danburite crystals that are practically water clear, except for the striations that are in them that are vertical, which make them basically water clear still. It's like looking through a piece of optical calcite or something. So like this one at the very top, you can see that it has an extremely clear hue to it. So Danburite in its white form is clear. And then you can also get pink Danburite and yellow Danburite. The white is usually just washed out of one of those two, and you can usually figure out what it used to be by just working with the energy a little bit and seeing what it does to your vibration and your chakras when you're in meditation or anything like that. Also, if you sleep with the Danburite, you can usually feel whether it is masculine or feminine if it's a white Danburite, because with the colored Danburites, the pink Danburite is feminine naturally. It holds a more, how do I say, I guess, loving attitude, whereas the yellow Danburite is more masculine and kind of like a supercharged, like, gateway to energy. And the path that both of those can take you on in meditation and healing work, especially if you do anything with Reiki on people or on yourself, the path that they can take you on, the Danburite crystals in spiritual work like that is intense. and it can really change, the energy just in a room or in a person, even just with one session working with Danburite on if you were to put a big Danburite like this onto someone's like root chakra, if they have a lot of root chakra or base issues within themselves, it can really enlighten and open up all of those things. So I wanted to talk a little bit about Danburite in its mundane sense. So there's white, pink, and yellow. The pink and the yellow hold the gender traits that can sometimes be utilized in healing work. So like pink Danburite and yellow Danburite, if you get a piece of both of those and you place them on the opposite sides of the heart chakra or even the crown chakra, or really any chakra, but specifically the healing chakras of the heart and the crown, and even like the manipura, the solar plexus. If you place a pink and a yellow on the sides of that chakra, or like one beneath you, if you're doing like a lay down session, one beneath the chakra, a small piece, and one on top of it, can be very intensely balancing. And that is something that you definitely want if you're doing like a high energy healing for someone, or if you're doing any kind of magical spiritual work for yourself. That kind of masculine feminine balance from crystals is not something that you find every day. Usually you have to go to multiple different stones with different energies to find like a feminine masculine balance, if they don't already kind of hold that within themselves in one stone. So with Danburite, you get the colored ones and you're able to utilize them in a way that other stones just don't really easily work or adapt to. So the pink and the yellow Danburite, very good for working through issues with women, having issues with men having issues with women, kind of brings in an understanding of the mental atmosphere of the opposite sex or whatever sex you want to work with. Pink and yellow Danburite is somewhat more hard to find and hard to get your hands on than white Danburite, just because of its rarity, because most Danburite goes white after some exposure that it's had to the outside world, and also Danburite can just be white from the mines. So the color in itself, the variation of color is really interesting. But it's not like quartz where you'll have quartz and then you'll have, citrine, smoky quartz, rose quartz. Those all hold a very different archetypal energy. With Danburite, the colored Danburites and the white Danburite, they all hold the same energy. They just work different, on a different wavelength a little bit. But they all hold the same meaning and they all hold the same essence. I always like to talk about an essence when I talk about stones or when I teach on stones, because I feel that it really is an essence more than an energy. It's like a frequency that you can tap into, and not necessarily something that is felt in extremes always, but kind of like a wavelength that you can get on. And Danburite is exemplary of that, because Danburite, literally, we call it in the metaphysical and pagan and crystal community, it's called or known as the key to the Angelic Kingdom, the key to the angelic doorway. For those Christian spiritualists, or even just like I'm pagan of sorts, but I work with angels and angel magic and angel energy and meditation and stuff. And through my whole life I have. Anyone who works with angels on any level, Danburite is a big opener and brings you into the awareness of angelic energy in your life and in the world around you. If you do any kind of healing work, you can call upon the angels to be present just by having Danburite there. It's like a calling card for the archangels and for the lower level angels that we work with daily without even knowing. Specifically, one thing that I do with Danburite when I work with angels is I will kind of slowly run it over each of my chakras. Usually I'll start at the base and go up, and then I'll hold it at the crown for a moment, and I will call in the angels, and then I'll bring it down again slowly through the chakras and call angelic presence into each of my power centers. And that is always a meditation or an action that I do before any kind of angel work, or if I do serious prayer, if it's a real time of need and I'm calling upon angel energy, then I will utilize that technique for feeling like I really called in that presence. And usually, especially in like a high energy ceremony, or if you're doing anything that's really special magically or in a healing way, um, when you call angels, they come. Not always by name. Some of them can be a little resistant at times to certain causes, because we are here to execute our own free will. They're not here to do it for us. But angelic energy is something that you can tap into on every level and call into your life. I do that every day when I have my Danburite on, and I wear it almost every day. I have for many, many years. Um, Danburite can be pricey, but you can also find, unfortunately, I've given all of mine away because I love to give stones away to my friends and family, especially Danburite and like high energy, powerful white stones like selenite and Danburite and quartz. But Danburite can be very expensive, but you can get very small pieces of it that are super high quality and super high energy that you can work with. So it's definitely not a far stretch for someone's magical toolbox. Danburite connects us to source energy or divinity through the white light energy that it works with, the white light that it taps into. If you hold a Danburite crystal up to the sun or even the full moon, it's a magical experience, especially if you will let the light from the luminaries go through the crystal and onto like your third eye, or even I'll open my mouth and let the light pour into myself that way internally. Danburite is a big heart opener. A lot of the angel stones are big on the heart because that is kind of the center that the angels work through when they come into us during meditation, when they work with us in healing work or Reiki. The heart chakra is where the hands are where the healing comes out of, but the heart is where it generates. So Danburite is a big heart opener, and it's also a heart empowerer. One of the most high vibration stones that there are. It's very buzzy, like I said before. There are stones like phenakite, moldavite, Danburite. What's another good power stone? There's something called a Zestulite, which those stones can really empower your other stones in your toolbox. I keep my this sized one in my box that I have with all of my stones that I do for stone layouts on people and on myself, because I feel that it just brightens them up. They have a super pure energy. I have strong beliefs that I teach in all of my crystal workshops that no matter how many books say techniques on cleansing stones, I feel very strongly that my stones are just fine the way that they are, and they love their life and they work for me. And unless you're giving your stones to someone with some really nasty stuff on them, I don't feel a big reason to really do a formal cleansing on them very often, because I feel like stones are like people. They have memories, and you want to maintain those memories because the stone will know what it's done before, what it's done for you, what it's done for others, what you have done for it. So I'm not big on overly cleansing stones, and especially ones like Danburite, clear quartz. Clear quartz can sometimes get a little funky with energy, but it's not hard to cleanse it in very light ways. But Danburite, diamond, like stones like that don't really need cleansed. They're of a way higher wavelength than we can even conceptualize. So to say that they would need cleansed in some kind of ritual or by saging them, which I'm totally against, saging any stones, like dousing them in sage. My teacher from back in the day, who's passed on now, he always said that it gives stones stone amnesia, salt water or sage smoke. So I try to lightly cleanse my stones in like full sunlight or full moonlight. Full sunlight you want to stay away from with a stone like Danburite because it can fade. If it's a colored Danburite, it can fade the color, or it can make them a little bit foggy sometimes if it's like a clear quartz or a Danburite. engages in too much action with sunlight. But Danburite overall, it is a positive stone. It empowers our virtues, the things that make us good people. It calls for us to bring them out. It's a call to action for the good in all people and for the good that is within our heart. Any healer, someone who works on other people, should have Danburite for themselves, if not to use on other people, because Danburite calls for you to do that work. It is a healer's empowerment stone, I would say. Danburite is a protective stone as well, like many stones. Any stone is protective in a way, but there are certain ones that hold such a strong protective energy that it's like having an army behind you. And so Danburite, when someone moves into a new home, I'll give them a piece of Danburite to put over their doorway or near their doorway. I just feel like it enlightens the space at the foyer or at the entrance, and it calls for only good things to come in. It really blesses the home and the access point to, you know, where you live your life. I keep Danburite in my car. I have a small piece that I keep in my car because I call for the angels to be with me whenever I am speeding on my way to work or anything like that. Again, with the protection, you know, you always have that energy around you and with you when you have Danburite in your space. And it's not hard to grab the piece that you have on a hard day or a stressful day, an anxiety-ridden day, and call in some good stuff that maybe you weren't feeling before. What else do I got? Let's think. It cleanses the aura. It's an aura cleanser, so who doesn't need that? That's always good to have. You can use any like white light terminated stone like selenite or Danburite or like a lot of good clear quartz to align chakras and do like very specific work with symmetry within the spiritual body, which is always a great thing for Reiki practitioners if you do Reiki on people or yourself and you want to work on balance. Danburite or selenite, I've done a video on selenite. Danburite or selenite are stones that are going to be like a pillar of contact that will align the chakras throughout the aura, throughout the body, and then you're able, as the healer, to then work on them in a more remote and easy access fashion, whether, you know, maybe their heart chakra was out to here before and you wanted to bring it back in a little bit, or it was only here and you wanted to bring it out. You know, the Danburite or those white light crystals are going to align everything gently while you are working on the chakras or on the energy body. So this video is already too long. I am just going to post it anyway, and the next video that I make, I promise, will be under 10 minutes. I cannot believe it's been 18 minutes. I only wrote like 5 notes. So that's Danburite. I hope everyone's having a great day. That was my first video back, and I am so glad that I did this. Blessings to you and yours. Goddess bless. Namaste.